So let's talk about how to extend the warranty on your body. Let me break down the 5 key decisions you need to make today for a longer, healthier life. These 5 biggest life adjustments you got to make are your blood pressure, avoiding cigarettes or toxins, exercising 30 minutes a day, having an easy-to-love, healthy diet, and controlling the stress in your life. These 5 life functions you've got to be able to control in order to change how we age, and they affect most of how we age. Let's start with the #1 driver of aging, blood pressure. This is a pretty good example for me of what most folks don't appreciate is happening in their body. These are 2 organs. The cholesterol can deposit in the wall of an artery. But when you're born, it's pristine like this. You see how the aorta is nice and clean? There's nothing on it at all. It's smooth and glistening. It's got a Teflon-like lining. The kidneys coming off it are nice and big and plump. It's fantastic when you see it as a surgeon to see how beautiful the organ can be. Now compare this to what happens if you've got high blood pressure for your whole life. Look at this aorta. See how it's chewed through and rotten? You've got cracks all through it. It's rigid, no longer willing to bend. Look at the kidneys. They're shriveled and bent up compared to the kidneys we had before. It's that comparison that gets most people to say, my goodness, I didn't have any idea that could happen to my body. Now, I've got an animation to bring this alive because these organs aren't alive. Look at this animation, and it brings into scope, into your vision, what's going on. There's a little yellowish plaque. It starts when you're very, very young, 18, 20 years of age. That plaque starts to grow in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. It gets large enough that at some point when you're 47 years old, all of a sudden something happens and ruptures. That rupture, that crack that happens inside of the artery is an open sore. Like any other cut in your body, you got to heal it. Yeah, what do? You put a scab on it. That scab rapidly, over minutes, begins to enlarge, and all of a sudden, kaboom! You just saw the leading cause of death in the Western world. That's what a heart attack is. And that's petrifying when you first see it. But when you appreciate it, you control your health destiny because you can influence the chance that might happen to you. It changes the game dramatically. So what does that really mean? Well, ultimately, it's about understanding what it is about blood pressure that leads to that heart attack that I showed and led to these organs that are all rotten over here. Well, imagine that you've got this nice thin wall. That's the coating of your artery, like I just showed you. This thin coating doesn't have anything to do with cholesterol or any other thing else that's going wrong in your body because you don't have to fix it. High blood pressure is like a hammer. It's like a hammer that's busting a hole inside of the artery. And once it's busted, you've got to fix this hole you have now. You've got 2 choices. You can use lousy, cheap spackling, and it doesn't do anything. No matter how much you put in there, it falls right out. It doesn't work. Or you can use high-quality spackling that gives you a nice repair. And although it's not going to be perfect, it's better than what you had before. And over time, you can begin to heal the wound up. The big challenge that a lot of folks have is not appreciating that the plaster is really the cholesterol of the body. That's fundamentally what it is. So if you don't have a hole, you don't have to fix it with your cholesterol, so it makes your cholesterol a much less important number. The other thing that scrapes up that inside lining is your blood sugar. So that's the #1 issue on our list. It's high blood pressure. #2 on our list is cigarettes. You can't have any cigarettes or toxins in your life. Otherwise, you end up with this scenario. Here's an image of 2 lungs. A healthy lung on one side and a smoking emphysematous lung on the other. You notice the emphysematous lung is dark, it's tarred, it's chewed through. It's no longer that healthy, beautiful, elegant lung that is shown on the left here. The decreased ability to exchange carbon dioxide from oxygen hinders our ability to live a normal life, and the toxic effect from cigarette smoke can destroy otherwise healthy lung tissue. The #3 way to get your body stronger and help live longer is to exercise 30 minutes a day. And as a doctor, I consider the ultimate killer for all of us is frailty. Now, our bones will respond dramatically to the activity we're involved in. If we're doing the right kinds of things and exposing our bones to some weight-bearing exercise, it gets nice and strong and stays healthy. But if we're not exposing the bone to anything that's pushing us hard, then it's going to get weak. Because you know what? The bones rebuild themselves every 7 years. There's no reason to waste energy making strong bones if your bones aren't bearing any weight. That's why frailty is the #1 driver of death for much of the world. Because if you're too weak to have strong bones, you're not going to ambulate, and no other part of your body will stay strong either. So let me go over the list again. I got blood pressure, the #1 driver of aging, right? Causes the heart attack we talked about. I've got cigarettes and toxins as a #2 driver of aging. I've got a exercise program of 30 minutes a day being the minimum you should be able to achieve to avoid the 3rd cause of aging. The #4 driver of aging is that unhealthy diet, and you need to adopt a diet that you love and adore and will stay on for the rest of your life. And #5 in my list of aging drivers that control most of how you age is stress. And it's not just avoiding stress, but knowing how to cope with stress. And the best way to do that, in my experience, is to learn that deep belly breathing that you do, what so many folks have been able to do for so many centuries. And this animation should bring this alive. A deep belly breath means that when you exhale, the stomach goes in. Why? Because your diaphragms, these orange thick muscles beneath the lungs, would then push up and push the air out. As you inhale, the belly comes out, the diaphragm comes down, your lungs are therefore sucked down. Exhale, belly goes in. You got to be able to do this with an 8-second cadence, 4 seconds to inhale completely and 4 seconds to exhale completely when you suck your belly button towards your spine. Now, here's my favor. I've gone over the 5 major drivers of aging. I want you to take what you've learned from this video and tell one other person in your life to keep this vital conversation going. Now, for more information, you can check out DrOz.com.